I actually still don't even know what the plan is for this particular episode. What we're doing.
So I have.
We're finally doing it. We're plotting the overthrow of the U.S. government.
Yep,
okay.
Right here and right now.
That is a pretty spooky thing to think about. So yeah.
So we have.
Not really.
Not
My problem.
not spooky about that.
It's based.
My problem is that I have two different conspiracy theory things. I'm not sure which one to pick. I don't know.
What are they concerning?
Give us the elevator pitch for both of them.
Yeah.
We're in an elevator. We're going from the 6th floor up to the 14th.
Okay.
You got 45 seconds. Go.
I'm gonna try to sum it up in short bursts. So on one hand, we have a murder mystery. On the other hand, we have a biological warfare.
I mean, biological warfare.
Biological warfare sounds good.
Doper.
But
Also, none of us are white women, so we should.
well, I don't know. I don't know.
It depends. Well, who would the subject of the murder mystery need to be? Like, who would need to be murdered for you to be like, okay, you know what? I'm interested.
JFK.
Is he the only one?
I mean, any political assassination, really.
All right, fair enough. Is it a political assassination we're talking about there, Gavin?
It involves the government.
Well, it's a conspiracy theory, so I would imagine it would.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's either the government or the Jews. Which I guess would be the government because the Jews are the government.
Yeah.
In that line of conspiracy theory thinking.
No, the Jews are the government.
Not really.
The Irish are the
I'm gonna be honest. Not really the Jews. It's more a specific person more than anything.
It's the Hibernian question, Lundy. You ever wonder why Ireland became the financial center of Europe? You ever wonder why there's so many Irish bankers in America?
No.
I'll tell you why. It's because...
I said no, and you're still going to tell me.
Yeah, I'm still going to tell you. It's because the Irish originally were the followers of Yakub. When their master and his white slaves were defeated, as punishment, the elders of Mecca stripped them of their melanin and put them in the Chaos Emeralds and buried those in Ireland.
I'm sorry. Wait a second. Before we continue on that particular line of reasoning, where the Chaos Emeralds come from, I didn't know that was a part of Yakubian lore.
It is.
Okay. Since when? Where are you getting this?
Have you looked at Shadow's hair?
Okay.
It's very similar to Yakub.
Yeah, Shadow does have a certain texture to his
I wasn't going there, but
I am just curious as to when exactly you made this up, so I can know when in the history of the Yakubian canon we can pin this particular part down to. You know, just like the Council of Nicaea when it comes to Christianity.
So after the elders of Mecca stripped the Irish of their melanin and put them in the Chaos Emeralds, their new leader, Dr. Ivo Robotnik, tracked them down, and that's why the Irish have been doing ever since. But the elders of Mecca put the Fae in charge of defending the Chaos Emeralds. So there's the invisible war going on in Ireland between the Yakubian ancestors and the Fae. And this is why they needed to kill paganism, to weaken the Fae. Because the pagan gods were the champions of the Fae.
The pagan gods were the champions of the Fae?
Yeah.
Wouldn't the Fae be the champions of the pagan gods?
Oh no, it's all bullshit.
No. The pagan gods were the strongest of the Fae, so they were the champions.
So, like Titania, or whatever her. Yeah, okay. What about Gaia?
And then Dr. Robotnik invented Metal Sonic, aka Yahweh, aka Jehovah.
Right now, hold on.
aka Elohim.
Hold on a second.
And he killed all the pagan gods except for one.
You can't bring the Christian God into this and have.
No, I can't, because you'll see. I'm going to tie it all off in a beautiful knot. So he killed all of the pagan gods except for one, the god of the North Wind, Sonic the motherfucking Hedgehog, the last son of Shazbaz.
Of Shazbaz?
Yeah, I told you about Shazbaz.
I don't remember Shazbaz.
So Shazbaz is like the good counterpart to Yakub, because Shazbaz and Yakub both had problems with the Elders of Mecca, but Shazbaz wanted to live a more pure, freer life in nature down in Africa. And so he took his followers down into Africa, where their skin darkened even further, their hair got curlier, blah, blah, blah. They become the first blacks. Also, I didn't mean to say Northern Wind. I meant to say Southern Wind for Sonic the Hedgehog. He is the god of the Southern Wind.
Between the Northern Wind, Southern Wind, of course, being the color blue.
Yes. The Northern Wind is a wind of death. It is black. That's Sonic. That's Shadow.
So Yahweh is Metal Sonic.
Yeah. Yahweh is Metal Sonic. That was his serial number.
Serial number was Yahweh?
Yeah, because you know how like sometimes they spell Yahweh like YWH, the other letter they use? I can't remember.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about, right, Goat?
I just love the idea of Goat just kind of sitting there quietly. I love the idea of Goat sitting there quietly, and then just eventually you just hear like a slow clap begin as he goes, "Congratulations, you figured it all out."
And then we just hear the fucking Dr. Robotnik music coming from his head. Dr. Robotnik has a really banging theme song. Anyways, I'm still voting biological weapon, Goat.
Okay.
Damn it. Was not the one I was prepared for.
Oh fuck. I may be willing to go to murder mystery if I know who the subject of the murder mystery is.
No, I think that's too much. Like,
here's the thing that's gonna piss me off though, Matt. If we go to biological warfare and it's something about farts, I'm gonna be like, I hate this already.
I'm hoping it's something like there's a guy who robbed a bunch of banks with like a bag full of praying mantises, and he was like a real life supervillain. He was just like, nobody can stop the praying mantis.
You know it's not going to be something like that, though.
I don't know. Did you see there was that lady this week who she was getting evicted from her house, so she just fucking grabbed a bee's nest and threw it at the cops. And the cops were like, some of us are allergic to bees. And she was like, good. So it's not okay
to just throw those at us. Some of us might die from it. That's the point.
And that's not a pun because they have stingers. You know, God, I'm willing to throw you a bone since you're not prepared for the biological weapon. I will change my vote to murder mystery.
Okay, good.
Oh, good.
Because I know it might be hard for you to switch topics because your computer is apparently haunted by a fucking pagan thunder god.
Haunted by a different kind of god right now.
What kind of god is it haunted by now?
We all know the story of John Lennon's assassination.
To be honest, the least talented of the Beatles.
Or do we?
You're only saying that because you know it's a controversial thing to say.
No, I'm saying it because fucking Octopus Garden motherfucking rocks.
Based opinion.
Okay.
Based opinion.
Firstly, name all of the Beatles first.
Alright, so we have John Lennon, Paul McCartney, George Harris, and Ringo Starr.
Okay. Secondly, what is the worst thing that each one of them has written?
Oh, well, Ringo Starr, nothing. It's all been gold from him.
Wish I could be a Powerpuff Girl.
That's why he's called Ringo Starr, baby. It's the gold stars he's brought home from Mama when he did good in school.
Sometimes I need to just ask some key questions to understand exactly where this
I'll be honest,
is coming from.
I don't know a lot about George Harrison.
Okay. Well, if you don't know a whole lot about George Harrison, you can't say that John Lennon is the least talented of all the Beatles.
Yeah, I can because I've heard his music, and George
Nope.
Harrison, like, hypothetically, I could still be impressed by his music.
Wrong.
So Schrodinger's musician here.
Also, you think that bitch fucking John Lennon could make computer art as good as fucking Ringo Starr? If he had lived, his hands would have been too shaky from the fucking alcohol to be able to fucking use a computer mouse properly.
Honestly, I'm much more impressed by that old Japanese fuck who learned how to make art using Microsoft Excel.
Oh yeah,
Going on tangents, you faggots.
we're talking about the Beatles. This is perfectly on topic.
Yeah. Listen, talked about John Lennon prior on this podcast. Back when we did To Whom It May Concern, the letters. We did a letter from Mark David Chapman about getting a hold of his signed record from John Lennon to give it to a children's charity. Talked about the man who killed John Lennon. Do you remember much from that episode, Lundy?
From the episode with all the letters?
Yeah.
Or the episode where we went over John Lennon's kill?
It's the same episode.
Oh, then clearly I don't remember much.
You read his letter to the... I think he was like...
the dude who was in charge of Saturday Night Live, right?
Oh.
No, okay.
Mark David Chapman wrote a letter to the guy to see if he could get him how much his record would be worth. He was calling some antique store and asking him.
Oh yeah, I remember that episode.
Okay, Matt has better memory than me. That's frightening.
You're dumb pinhead.
Yeah.
Okay, so we all know Mark David Chapman.
I don't even remember yesterday or tomorrow.
We all know.
I just heard a goat inhale very sharply.
Oh, I'm telling him to shush. I'm done. Look, we all know that Mark David Chapman killed John Lennon.
Okay.
Or did he?
Would you like to see the face of the man who really killed John Lennon?
Please.
I really hope it's Ringo Starr. That would make me so happy. Ringo Starr is a retard, so like obviously I'm going to feel more compassion for him than the other Beatles.
Though not enough compassion to not call him a retard.
I mean, look, he knows what he is.
Honestly, I'll just say this real quick, Matt. Ringo Starr, Family Guy nailed it. Ringo Starr of all the Beatles is the one who would show up at a little girl's house when they're talking about which Beatles they like, and one of them embarrassingly says Ringo, and he'd say, "Yeah, oh yeah, well hey, I'm right here."
And then she's like, "Nah, I don't think so." He's like, "You know what? That's cool." Because again,
Listen, I know you're both.
not a rapist.
I know you're both bought off by Big Pharma right now, and you're trying to hide the truth from America. But I'm not going to stand for it anymore.
So yeah, who killed John
Look in
Lennon?
our chat. This is the true face of evil. Man put an end to one of the biggest musicians of the past 100 years.
Well, that's not true. He didn't kill Ringo.
This is the man who killed John Lennon.
Why is that Stephen King?
It is Stephen King, isn't it?
Yes. You should have used the pictures.
The Stephen King
Stephen
killed
King
John
before
Lennon?
But you guys have never seen.
The motorcycle accident happened after Lennon died.
You guys have
Or am I
never
mixing that
seen the
up?
truth. Allow me to show you the vehicle of truth.
Oh, it was the motorcycle. Oh no. Oh, okay. Wait, what? Author Stephen King murdered John Lennon. It's funny because like my brain did a weird association thing where the fucking vehicle is yellow, so I almost read John Lemon.
I was really hoping it was the fucking truck from Maximum Overdrive. The one with the Green Goblin face on it for no reason.
Yeah. LennonMurderTruth.com.
There's a man.
Urgent. See my new developments page.
There's a man out there who knows the truth more than anyone
The
else.
Chapman story is a media hoax. Nixon's sick trick on you. Blowing up your cover up. The truth. Handle it.
So that does lead to so Nixon's involved. Stephen King's involved.
More importantly, there's a man more involved than any of them. Allow me to show you the whistleblower on everything. Mr.
the truth seeker.
Stephen Lightfoot.
Who does he look like, Matt? Who does he look like? He looks like a mix between fucking
He kind of looks like Variable Blast, like if he was in the Beastie Boys Sabotage video. I'm telling y'all, it's sabotage. Chapman didn't kill Lennon.
There is a van, as you can see, and there's also a website.
He looks like a mix between Leonard Nimoy and
I can see the Jeff Goldblum. Yeah.
Steve Light as full whistleblower on this area.
You are breaking up real bad right now.
Shut the fuck.
Walco figures that out, Lundy. I do have to mention, we were so busy on his looks, we didn't notice the sign that says "Informed Killing Class."
Test.
I can hear you now.
Yeah.
We can hear you now. I just had to point out the Lundy. We did not notice the sign.
Informed killing class. Remember, before you kill, be informed.
I really hope there's like a VHS like tape set of him doing informed kill. God, if there is, we need to buy them.
Yeah, it's like not only are they old VHS tapes, but also they're filmed in those sort of like odd, fucking like 80s workout VHS tape style too. You know,
he has a 24-page magazine for sale, but okay. I haven't bought it yet.
But like, oh man, like if he has like VHS tapes, not only do we need to get them and watch, but after we watch them, just immediately send them to fucking Red Letter Media. You know that they will immediately be like, "Informed killing class." What?
They'll have to watch it. They have no choice. They'll have to watch it.
Yeah.
This is a scuffed podcast, but we're gonna do it.
We're gonna do this right. Scuffed or no?
Okay. There we go. I got it. It's got a cuss sentence.
I'm glad that you've got it.
You quit picking on me.
That's important.
I'm trying to.
God, I gotta find out where this picture of the informed killing class came from, because it's obviously from a video.
It is. It is from a video, and I'm going to show it later. Okay. This is his most recent update to his site. On Lundy. This is his about section, by the way.
Are you thinking, Lundy, if you should do the native voice?
I'm wondering what voice I should do for him.
Like many moons ago.
I'm wondering.
When the coyote was young.
Well, if we do that, it has to be Goat that does it. He's the only one who's allowed to, without it being racist.
I'm already. Listen, I'm.
Like that's ever fucking stopped us from doing it on this fucking podcast.
No, it's more just me like pointing out redundant fashion that Goat is in fact Native
I'm
American.
I'm also trying my best here with the materials I have.
What, are you saying that's Goat's our cover for being racist? It's like,
yes.
Look, we have the literally the most oppressed minority on the podcast. You guys can't do shit to us.
Lundy, quit stalling.
Yes. I am a now 68-year-old U.S. man.
This is not.
Monterey, California.
I'll give you a full heads up. This sounds nothing like he actually sounds like.
It's a world fishbowl with also a small
now he's,
and it serves my purpose.
Now he's well. George Lucas.
No,
well, George Lucas would hate Stephen King.
George Lucas is more down here.
Yeah. He's not terribly far off from
He's just
Jordan Peterson.
he's just depressed all the time because why make anything if people are just gonna hate it?
Let's go, Lundy. Go, go, go.
Well, Lundy is flummoxed now because we've already shot down 2 of his voices.
I don't know what voice to do.
Do a soft-spoken Californian. Right now, do you remember? Did you ever watch Pet Cemetery?
Wait. Yes.
Do the old.
Are you talking about the guy?
Yeah.
Who says no, don't go?
Yeah. Use that voice. That's closer than any of them. Ironically,
All right.
Ironically, he sounds the most like a Stephen King character.
Okay, we'll do that then.
We'll make him Forrest Gump in the middle of this, please.
I am a now 68-year-old U.S. male living in the Monterey, California area. It's a World Fish Bowl, but also a small community, and it serves my purposes well. I've crisscrossed America several times in my website van.
I once ran the entire country and people just followed me.
Sorry.
Also, I had sex with a woman with AIDS.
I'm sorry. My website,
Mhm.
man. There's something strangely adorable about
Well,
that.
it's until you read the rest of the sentence.
And spent at least 5 visits in Stephen King's area of residence. I've been exposing this for exactly 4 decades now and have endured many deadly and horrifying episodes along the way, mostly from police and various strangers.
So he started this when he was 28.
Yep.
Yeah.
Also, a little bit of a tangent. I've told you guys why I hate the movie Forrest Gump, right?
Probably, yeah.
I don't trust him. He's alive.
Oh, okay.
Like, if he did half of the fucking shit
He'd be in the history books.
he did, people would remember him. Because, so if they had made Forrest Gump now, like, during the age of the internet, when everybody has, like, short fucking memories, I could understand that. But if you had, like, some fucking retard who fucking met the president and fucking ran across the fucking entire country, like, people would fucking remember him. People would be like, oh, hey, aren't you that fucking retard who ran across the country? Huh. Or, like, seriously, like, if there was a retard who met the president and then took his fucking ass out to show him, like, this is where I got shot in Vietnam, sir, right in my butt. Like, people would know that. That would be a joke on the fucking Simpsons. It'd be a cultural fucking touchstone for this country. Forrest Gump is a fucking dirty fucking liar.
A filthy liar, one might say. During a 2-year period under Obama and Biden's presidency, I was almost killed twice in very high-speed accidents where nobody was sighted. And in one instance, one intersection was paved over the next day, for example.
That's probably why his van's painted that bright-ass fucking yellow.
King has emailed me his confession.
That is amazing. If he already mailed you his confession, why do you keep harassing him then?
Various threats as well as other writings and letters. He has no trouble not suing me for my accusations. We actually met eye to eye in Bangor, Maine in 1992, in fact.
I know Bangor, Maine is a real place, but it's just... it just sounds like a fake place.
So we actually met eye to eye in Bangor, Maine in 1992, in fact. Very recently, he tried to box me. Sorry, I read that wrong. He did not, in fact, try to box him. Very recently, he tried to box me in near his residence when I briefly tried to venture down his private road. I backed out, and it was he in his car right behind me in Osprey, Florida. Maine kicked him out decades ago. Apparently,
wait, states can just exile people?
Apparently?
He's like, you're not welcome in Maine anymore, King. Book it.
Keep going.
Apparently, he was laying in wait hoping I'd go down his road so he could shoot me and claim I was stopping him. A long planned trip, just a day in the life of staying alive for me. King has never, not once, denied my allegations. Yoko Ono identified herself as my enemy in 1987 when she ordered me handcuffed, kidnapped, and pistol whipped unconscious in San Francisco.
Damn, Yoko Ono's fucking hard.
McCartney endorsed me live 4-1 in 1990 at Berkeley during a concert. I have it on tape. But it was a weak effort on his part. I am correct, you see. I have a website van. 2, in fact. I often can be found singing to sidewalk cafes from it with my karaoke and other discs.
I like how he's literally like, I'm not crazy. I have 2 vans.
That I sing at sidewalk cafes with. It's how I convince people that they should pay attention to my politics if I can sing as well as I do.
You know what it's like? It's literally that fucking bit from Arrested Development when he goes to therapy. He's like, would a depressed person make this? It's just the shitty doll. It's like, would a crazy person have 2 vans? 1 van, I'll give you that, good sir. A crazy person might be in possession of 1 van. But do you think a crazy person could stay in possession of 2 vans?
It's how I convince people that they should pay attention to my politics if I can sing as well as I do. I also display various signs, often. I've tried everything else, and there's no better way to melt the resistance I am up against in getting people to care about what I do. It is the resistance I am up against that should be foremost in your minds, as your apathy and denial and fear of government is endangering me and dooming America and all of you. I come across as bitter and upset occasionally in the course of my writings, and it's all partly all of your fault for being so human and weak in the first place.
Wait, so he's blaming us? We didn't do shit, buddy. I just found out about this, like, where did we start this podcast, Goat?
I want to say 10 minutes ago, but with all the tangents, I'm assuming it's probably been like an hour.
Yeah, I found out about this 20 hours ago when we first
started talking about Coob and the Chaos Emeralds.
Which I'm not wrong about. Like, look, this guy might be crazy, but I'm legit. Too legit to quit.
They continue.
Religion has done nothing to prepare you for standing up for yourselves where cover-ups are concerned. You're all a mess indeed. You're under fear and pure media and government evil. It's as if America is under a subversive takeover and our government's behind it. It's horrific for me to know that the mass media hope I die, and even some of my fellow Americans do as well. Until King is jailed, society is under evil.
This is literally like a Joker speech. Just replace Stephen King with the Batman. And this is just a Batman villain speech. Like, I blame you, Gotham, for the Batman. You're too weak.
On.
In fact, America's epidemic of mass shootings stems exactly more than from any other matter from Stephen King killing John Lennon and getting away with it. I think the kids are protesting against the status quo their parents have handed them, looking away from the evidence that indicts King and Lennon's murder. And it's their way of rebelling to prevent their classmates from becoming phonies like their parents. Life's not worth it. Stupid parents, the way you've left it for us. See ya. Try quality control a little better next time. Don't leave us a sick world.
This is why they keep the Columbine tapes from us, people, is because in it, Darren Klebold just looks dead in the camera. It's like, Columbine, because of the cover-up of Stephen King being the real murderer of John Lennon.
Stephen King wrote a book titled Rage in the 70s about a boy who shoots up his classmates long before classroom shooters existed at all. Is that true?
No.
The classroom shootings literally never happened before King wrote a story about it?
No, like, it happened, but it was, like, really super rare. And it usually happened in, like, more rural areas. You know, places where there were, like, access to guns and shit. I mean, that's pretty much it. Like, he's wrong. There were school shootings before.
King is that crazy gunman type of personality and even assembled a scrapbook of Charlie Whitman's 1950s college tower shooter in his youth. Herman Maine, in fact, kicked him out over that book before he was famous. Now that he has been excused by America's blind, phony parents for killing John Lennon, most of America's youths have heard something about my claims or visited my site. Oh, he's well known.
But you guys were in high school. Did you not hear about this in the locker room?
No, I literally just heard about this 3 years ago when we started the podcast.
Unofficially started when we started this episode.
Yeah. I heard about this for the first time in 1945 when we started recording this particular episode of the podcast. We used to have this little colored boy called Jimmy. He died, heart disease. Their folks are, more likely to die of that. And he used to be a time traveler, and so he would go into the future, and he told us, like, bosses, there's going to be this author, Stephen King, he's going to kill this fucking British guy who stole our music. And we were like, that's cool, but, like, our shoes are pretty scuffed up, Jimmy. Like, they ain't going to shine themselves.
Do you continue with the word?
That was probably the weirdest tangent I've ever gone on.
It's got to get weirder from here.
I don't doubt it.
This is baby shit compared to where we're going. Until you'll put down the WoW crack pipe for a second.
Can't get off of it. All right, so Herman Maine in fact gets him out of this. This is
I'm
fact.
playing New Vegas and I'm more
established.
engaged than you.
Sorry. All right, shut the fuck up, Matt. Now that he's been excused by America's blind, phony parents for killing John Lennon, most of America's youth have heard something about my claims and visited my site. The kids see nothing wrong with taking their classmates out of the environment. They're too afraid to stand up to their derelict parents, so they kill the children instead. The reason? The world is evil. Well, folks, until King is jailed, it's true. Examine the fact that the latest Texas massacre involved all manner of adults, allowing the killer 45 minutes alone in a classroom full of students with a gun.
That's how.
The arriving sheriffs,
That's how recent this is updated. Yeah, he's like active right now.
The arriving sheriffs ordered people not to approach. So who's going to stop the killing if not us citizens? The sheriffs? Apparently not either. What about in the minutes before the sheriffs arrived? Apparently nobody. Nobody old enough to stop this carnage save the day. Adult phoniness is glaring daylight. Perhaps they were all afraid of getting shot themselves, and that's what kept them out. Who knows, underneath it all lies a world without a spine, a world without its nerve, a world under fear.
This is literally a fucking, Republican serial villain monologue. So here you go, Lundy. I know I have lag, but you can talk right after I stop talking.
Well,
look, I'm just trying to make this episode easier for Thorium to edit if he is. Because, there's been some pretty big dead air patches.
Shut up. Don't think your world you are leaving your children is evil. When Hinckley allegedly shot Reagan and Brady in 1981, took our minds off Chapman, who was simultaneously skipping his trial altogether at the time, he was quoted blaming John Lennon's murder on Reagan. He said, America is the land where heroes are shot in the back. When Lennon died, I died. You died. America died. The world died.
Said this involved political assassinations, because he's like Hinckley didn't do it.
He said it, though. It made the papers. It was the exact truth of the matter regarding America's state of mind. We all did die a little from that crime. Life was forever lower to a lesser quality ever after. Teen suicide has quadrupled since. What Hinckley said about it said exactly described the magnitude of what kind of tragedy happened to the human race. So why did he say it? I'm of the opinion that Hinckley shot nobody, and Reagan and Brady were actors perpetrating a fraud on us all to get our minds off Chapman and to attack the Second Amendment. Bethesda Hospital lost JFK's brains decades earlier and can't be trusted not to be a part of the fraud. You don't know what that Hinckleys and Bushes were decades-long friends in the oil business and shared a block in Colorado where they both had summer homes.
All right.
They had summer homes together.
Yeah, it's actually true.
Okay. When Chapman skipped trial as Hinckley shoved him off all media and Hinckley was found innocent by reason of insanity after, everything he justifiably said about Reagan killing Lennon was flushed down the toilet of non-credibility. After all, he was insane to even say it, right? That's why he said what he said. He was, in my opinion, coached to say that by his government handlers. It was
Wait, if Reagan had Lennon killed, where's Nixon come in?
We'll get there.
It was the truth, and it was trash as heresy after, with his insanity verdict. Now anyone who thought Reagan killed Lennon didn't dare speak up for fear of being labeled insane himself. You see how tricky the government and media really are? That's just the tip of the iceberg, believe me. That Chapman even claimed to be a fan made real fans shy to admit it, as well, and that's hurt any groundswell that you might have seen risen up in outrage. It made us ashamed to be called a fan of Lennon, you see.
Did it?
The kids today see their parents calling me a wacko, lying to them, choosing to protect the evil king, and let them go unprotected, and they want to lash out at the parents' phoniness and lack of justice. You're all too busy chasing money to see to admit what I'm saying, most likely. Too busy chasing a two-paycheck economy to be there for them when they come home from school. A two-paycheck economy is a trick you fell for under Nixon, frankly.
Oh, okay, there we go.
That was a political trick to increase taxes. After you fell for it, everything doubled in price to keep you there.
So, fuck, I forgot what I was going to say. Never mind. Oh, yeah, now I remember. So I might have, well, I know I had shitty parents, but I don't remember getting the sit-down talk of like, hey, kiddo, there's going to be this crazy man with 2 vans, and he's going to tell you that Stephen King shot Lennon. But I want you to know that he's a wackadoo. Did you guys have this conversation
All
with
the
your
time.
parents?
All the time. I got that before the sex talk.
Not really.
Well, I did.
Well, congratulations, Matt. I'm proud of
No,
you.
I was helping you, Lundy. I was like, that's where the new thing starts.
Why did I take up so much space in my About Author page to discuss mass shootings? I am the very hero you all need to stop mass shootings by jailing Stephen King and putting our world back on the moral track again. That's why. Nothing less will ever work. Until that happens, you all frankly deserve mass shootings, or they wouldn't be happening. I am the hero that is missing in our world that the kids need to look up to because their parents and religion just aren't cutting it and never will. There's no one else on the horizon even close to me either. Until King is arrested and punished, until the media is forced to disclose all their lies and tell the truth, until you all confess yourselves to your own evil cover-up all this time, until all that happens and this monster news story is fully told, the shootings and nature's outrage of the world's phoniness will never stop.
I like how he's like, I'm the hero you need, but if you don't listen to me, you fucking deserve to die.
Started out just trying to look into the matter of John Lennon's death one day in mid-1982 and accidentally discovered the evidence enclosed here. I had no idea what I was up against in breaking this news. It's a gigantic riddle that defies words to describe it, getting you all to even care. Its complexity and enormity baffled me, even me still. You're all so tragic. What's the matter with everybody else that only I care, for example? The crime and cover-up have crippled you all. I'll make a fool of myself enough, and I choose to leave the earlier posts in this chapter up just to keep things real. What's below this next paragraph is ancient and probably showing signs of the PTSD I probably have from all the excitement along the way. Before I stumbled into all this, I was attempting to get on the PGA golf tour and play golf for a living. I frankly don't mind that I gave that up to save you all from evil politics. Those guys get to play golf for a living because people like me make the world safe for that kind of opulence and freedom to exist in the first place.
But you haven't made the world safe by your own admission. You're saying it's a shithole or a world of fear and we should all die because we're not listening. But how can we? Because our government and our parents are lying to us about you? I'm really confused.
Will all make sense very soon.
No,
I also considered advertising, copywriting, or golf course architecture for a career as well. Instead, I got chosen to be the messenger here. It was just like the evidence found me, and not vice versa. I simply kept my head while all about me were busy losing theirs over a Chapman lie. Less about my heroism and more about everyone else's helplessness. That's how it all seems to me. I'm just brave and sane in an otherwise cowardly and insane world.
This is literally shit no Mark would say.
All right, now it's time to get to the nitty gritty. Are you ready?
Yeah, I just scrolled up. I didn't realize how much fucking words that.
There's a lot more that I'm leaving off. I'm leaving off like 15 paragraphs where he's giving his life story. Basically, to give a rundown of the rest of it, he was born in Montana. He was a big sports guy, and then whenever the Lennon assassination happened, he realized the lies of society. They started this up.
So he's just a more cowardly version of John Hinckley, is what I'm getting.
Essentially. Hey, you ready, Lundy?
Bitch.
Sure.
Here is the introduction. The theory.
Contrary to all reports about a lone drifter named Mark David Chapman, who allegedly shot John Lennon in the back December 8th of 1980, you'll find ample evidence in the back issues of Time, Newsweek, and U.S. News and World Report magazines to suggest otherwise. Namely, that John Lennon was not only politically assassinated, but that Richard Nixon, Ronald Reagan, and, you better sit down, horror novelist Stephen King are the three people who can be proven guilty of the crime. King being the real murderer, and Chapman but a look-alike, paid actor, misleading you with an absolute hoax, the media in tow. The evidence specifically is government codes in the bold print headlines of Time, Newsweek, and U.S. News and World Report magazines that were printed shortly before, during, and after the night of December 8th of 1980. Hints in the headlines that you won't find anywhere else that plug into John Lennon's assassination with up to 70% frequency at times. These government codes, which read like gallows humor, thinking about John Lennon, Johnny comes marching home, kiss, kiss, bang, bang, ouch, ouch. The job Richard Nixon really wanted, blasting the opposition. America needs a poet laureate. Maybe. Heeding those subtle signs. Magazine maze. All the president's magazines. These codes include the killer's face and true identity printed 3 and 2 months before the crime, replete with headlines describing the then yet-to-come crime scene. One great big Zippo lighter. Perils of pyrokinesis. Pyrokinesis means fire and movement. And a man at night with a gun ablaze, crouched in a raincoat, looks like a great big cigarette lighter. Subtle, but dramatic codes.
So, my question with this kind of stuff always is, why? Why is the cabal, the Illuminati, the Jews, whatever you want to call them, the people in charge?
Why did they decide to kill John Lennon? And
why did
Not
they
even-
decide
not
to
even
use
why.
Stephen King to do it?
Not even that. Why are they doing all of this secret code shit 2 months before the assassination?
Oh, true. Yeah, there's that too.
Because I know his
Yeah.
answer. I know what his answer would immediately be, because I've dealt with like fuckers like this before. Because I am a fan of conspiracy theories. I run in these circles. I've dealt with these fuckers. They always snap back. It's like it's to taunt us, and it's like, you're the only one that figured this out. So they didn't do a good job of taunting anybody.
I do love the yeah. He just comes up with his own idea of what it must have looked like. A man at night with a gun ablaze, crouched in a raincoat.
Also, again, I am pretty sure the motorcycle crash happened after the Hinckley assassination. I might be getting the dates wrong. I'm not good with dates.
Also, pyrokinesis means being able to control fire with your mind, not fire and movement.
Hang on, I'll fact check for you, Matt.
Because Stephen King didn't. Because I kind of get where he's coming from with like, oh, Hinckley kind of looks like Stephen King, but Hinckley only looks like Stephen King post motorcycle accident. I mean, not motorcycle, drunk driver. I'm getting him confused with Gary Busey. As you do.
like you always.
Man, there's a lot of fucking motherfuckers in the 70s who got their faces fucked up.
Okay,
in drunk
okay.
driving
So
incidents.
it's a little bit. Yes. So the Reagan assassination was in March of 1981,
Alright.
and the accident that Stephen King had was on June 19th, 1999. Oh, it's pretty close.
I'm pretty sure Stephen King had that car accident way before 1990.
1999, man. He got hit by a van.
Fuck, am I from the universe where Stephen King got in the 70s instead of the 90s?
You're just high and autistic.
No, I remember his face being fucked up forever.
You're thinking of Mark Hamill.
No, I know his face was fucked
King's
up.
face wasn't fucked up. He got his leg crushed.
Well, then that motherfucker even looks less like fucking
Oh,
David
well,
Chapman.
we will get to that, man. We will get to that. But first, Lundy, continue.
These crypto codes include Mark David Chapman, the alleged name of the killer, printed 3 weeks before the murder, where Chapman writes that he is armed upon waiting to be moved into a hostile square by the giant hand of Ronald Reagan. These government codes include dramatic photos of just elected Ronald Reagan sitting next to Richard Nixon's book, The Real War, in Time and Newsweek issues, released the day of the murder. In Time, the bold headline above Reagan reads, "Who's in, who's out?" and below, fitting together the pieces of a complicated jigsaw puzzle.
Do you remember the episode of The Simpsons where, like, Homer finds out his mom has been sending coded messages through the newspapers for years?
No.
And he's just, he's highlighted everything. That's what I imagine this guy doing.
Oh, Matt, let's actually look at here. The blurb at the top is his commentary on everything. No wonder you don't have to read the entire news article.
And Stephen King looked like fucking Austin Powers.
Why does Stephen King always look awful? What the fuck?
What happens to those
Booze
main
and
boys?
coke. They're the
Well,
blowiest
this is
of
him
the
just
drugs.
like. So this is him just like slapping all of these together, right? This is the famous photograph that was shown to the public. It shows John Lennon signing the Killer's album just hours before the murder. Look, it's Stephen King, not Mark Chapman. Newsweek used a fuzzy photo on the one time used to compare with Chapman. Newsweek was disguising the fact that Chapman is a lookalike and not the real killer. Paul Goresh, who took the photo, was caught posing as a VCR repairman to illegally enter Lennon's home just a year earlier. Goresh is likely a government photographer engaged in the cover-up. This photo was apparently planned in advance as part of the media brainwash campaign that followed. Chapman is a paid patsy, a decoy, a King lookalike who was waiting at the police station while King, posing as Chapman, was murdering Lennon. The New York police on the scene arrested Stephen King, who was sitting reading The Catcher in the Rye, also as planned. King was led away with a police overcoat over his face, and then switched inside where Chapman gave his filmed, rehearsed confession. I reversed the negative of King because Time reversed it to begin with. 3 months before the crime.
If Chapman was in on this, why do they need Stephen King?
He's the one who wanted to kill him.
That's not how fucking these kind of things work. Like, if there's a big Illuminati. Also, like, what is Stephen King's relationship to the fucking cabal? Like, is he just an agent? Is he the fucking, like, hidden God King of America? And he's like, fuck, man, I really want to kill Lennon. Like, these are important questions. Like, what is Steve, like, if Stephen King's just a shooter, and they already had a fall guy, this is retarded.
It's according to you, Matt.
No. According to the, like, basic conspiracy theory logic, this is retarded. There's already too many moving parts for this to work as a fucking viable conspiracy theory.
Continue. Top right.
Printed 2 and 3 months before the murder, the killer's face and true identity, Stephen King advertised one great big Zippo lighter, which describes the scene of the crime of a man at night with a gun blazing. King also writes about fire and movement, and government plots to eliminate certain people in the accompanying book review. In other books, he writes about shooting a man between the shoulder blades, getting a famous man's autograph before trying to kill him with a gun, and other themes that parallel the murder of John
He's
Lennon.
underlined the bits of that.
Yeah, again, this is. I kind of feel sad for this guy. He's wasted 40 years of his life.
But man, he's exposing the truth.
He's probably exposing himself to minors in that fucking van of his. Oh, I'm sorry. The 2 vans. Old 2-van McGee over here. Watch out, everybody. We got a badass. He owns 2 vans.
2 website vans.
Page 3 is coming up. There we go.
God, I forgot how coke-bloated Stephen King used to be.
For 3 weeks before the crime, Mark David Chapman, the alleged name of the killer, attached to a letter to the editor where he explains that Reagan is moving him, armed, and into a hostile square. Mark David King Chapman.
And this is the giant one. Ready to hear about government codes?
Also, too, here's like the thing that also doesn't make sense with this conspiracy theory. Again, and it goes back to like, why are they doing this? Because it's like, what are they trying to prepare people for the assassination, or because like the official story is literally as simple as you can get. Chapman was a fucking crazy person. He shot a guy.
So I'm looking at this, and all right, here's the interesting thing. So what he's saying is that this letter to the editor was written by Mark David Chapman. Now, it says that it was written by Corporal Roger Chapman of Fort Stewart in Georgia.
Yes.
And it's him saying that he doesn't mind fighting for his country, but he hopes that when he does so, it's going to be done with wisdom.
And?
So the reason why he says this is actually Mark David Chapman is because he says, mark my words. And also, in another letter, someone named David V. King says some shit. And so, Mark, David, and Chapman are all on the letters to the editor page somewhere. Therefore, the first one was written by Mark David Chapman, and the one written by David V. King, I guess, was made by somebody else.
So 2 things, right? 2 things. First, fuck, I forgot. Damn, I've been smoking too much pot today. I'm trying to think. But while I'm thinking of that, so this reminds me of, have you seen the Rittenhouse theory? The new Kyle Rittenhouse theory? Okay, so Lundy, I want you to read this tweet. I'm going to post it here in the goat pen and not in the other chat to kind of keep it more clean and so you don't get confused. So there you go. There's the new Kyle Rittenhouse conspiracy theory.
Read it, Lundy.
Oh, yeah, I saw this one a while ago. Kyle's real name is Wendy Rittenhouse Lewis, and she is not 18, but a 26-year-old female-to-male transgender. Kyle, a.k.a. Wendy, is a police officer in real life, and the whole courtroom was a stage. Same with Alex Jones' staged trial, ordered to pay $1 billion for talking about Sandy Hook. He is a she.
There you go.
And there's a picture of a firefighter and a police officer, and below them is Kyle.
Yeah. Also, I remember now what I was going to say. So, I don't know what episodes are more depressing to me now. The ones with the implied rape, or the ones about undiagnosed schizophrenia?
I think the undiagnosed schizophrenia.
I mean, yeah, this is because it is. He is literally just like it's like you pointed out, Lundy. He is literally just looking for shit.
He's just finding random words and putting them together and just being like, "Yep, that's good."
There is literally no rhyme or reason that another human being on this planet other than him can understand to why he's doing this in the particular order that he's doing. He cannot. That's probably why he's so fucking bitter, because he's constantly probably explaining this shit to people, and they're just like us. They would look at him like he's fucking just spewing turds out of his fucking mouth.
And it's
He's
weird
right,
because
bro.
he can string words together. But it's like none of it actually ends up making sense when you examine it in any way whatsoever.
Like it's more baseless than the Bible code bullshit, you know? Because at least with like the Bible code, there's a code. Like they have like a methodology that can be easily explained. Where it's like you take these numbers, you subtract these ones, you add these ones, multiply it by this. Bingo, bango, Bible code.
Meanwhile, like for this guy, it's just like I took all these like headlines from various different articles, and like some of them sound like they're about shootings if you take them out of context, and some of them don't. But you know what? It's a headline that was over top of Reagan, so I'm connecting him to that.
Do you think, Goat, if we showed him Movie Bob, the Movie Bob book, he could probably work that into conspiracy theory? Because Movie Bob, man,
Maybe.
because yeah, it is just like, you know what, that fucking that anti-Jew stuff earlier tonight in DWG, I thought that was going to be the craziest shit I heard, but like this is true fucking uncut, pure fucking Bolivian fucking gold crazy.
Look, don't try feeling sorry for him. Just enjoy the crazy.
Like
In issues released the day of John Lennon's murder, Richard Nixon's book, The Real War, sitting next to just elected Ronald Reagan, the accompanying headline reads, "Who's in, who's out," and fitting together the pieces of a complicated jigsaw puzzle. The Real War discusses at length why people like John Lennon, who he tried to deport once, must be assassinated, in so many words. The code translation of the headline is, "Reagan's in, Lennon's out." What code? What code translation? What code are you talking about? You didn't describe a code. You just said just replace who's in with Reagan's in and who's out with Lennon's out. Just because.
Reagan's on first and King's on second.
The same photo was also found in Newsweek that day, complete with book and white flowers. Which means something, apparently. Along with other strange behavior in the headlines of these magazines. These were my first discoveries related to evidence in Lennon's murder. Evidence in government bold print codes that only exist in issues for 5 months surrounding the crime. Hints in the headlines about Lennon's then upcoming assassination. Are they trying to signal to the rest of the Illuminati? They're just like, by the way, guys, get ready.
Essentially.
yeah,
Upcoming assassination.
Because you know what he would probably say? He'd probably be like, "Oh, this is like inside jokes for them, like so they can laugh at like the dumb people of like, oh, look at what we did, like we did this dumb." But it's retarded. Like the Illuminati seems like they have better things to do, like eating and sacrificing and fucking children. Like where in their busy day of like murdering people and fucking children, where's the Illuminati getting all of this fucking time and effort to be like, hey, you know what, call up the Times and have them put in this dumb fucking code that we're gonna kill Lennon, okay? Thanks. Anyways, I gotta get back to my child buffet.
Okay, I know what you're thinking. That so far this is all just rambling insanity. But
Yeah, for once, yes, you are 100%
But-
correct.
he does have his confessions.
I'm sure these are legitimate confessions that we should send in some fake confessions. Like, oh, hello, I'm Ringo.
We'll get to that in a
Starr.
minute, Matt.
Yes, it's Ringo involved.
Ringo.
Please.
A
tell me
Ringo, but someone else.
Oh,
Here are some of the more graphic excerpts from Salem's Lot and The Dead Zone, both written before the murder. These are confessions the king made, written in his books.
oh, this is just like the fucking like. Oh, Stanley Kubrick made fucking 2001 as a no, not 2001. The Shining as a confession for the moon landed.
Author's note. An appraisal of Stephen King's material reveals other book titles, such as Night Shift, The Stand, Dance Macabre, Carrie, Salem's Lot, The Dead Zone, Cujo, Different Seasons, The Shining, and lately, Christine.
What do you mean lately? Fucking Christine was like written in 1974.
Almost all Stephen King material exhibits possible relationships to the assassination of John Lennon, as well as anti-religious themes and images related to horror and terror. Here are some interesting passages from, for now, two of his books, Salem's Lot and Dead Zone, both written before the assassination of John Lennon.
Wasn't Lennon a fucking atheist?
Mm-hmm.
About it.
I'm just saying.
From Salem's Lot, copyrighted in 1975. A stranger had also come to the lot, a stranger with a secret as old as evil. All would change forever. Father Callahan, the bad priest who put his eroded faith in one last test, and Mark, a young boy who sees his fantasy world become reality, and ironically proves the best equipped to handle the relentless nightmare of Salem's Lot. You see? Mark!
No.
Mark! His name's Mark, Matt!
No.
His name's Mark!
Hang on.
My bullshit Yakub myth I pulled out of my ass at the start of this is more well thought out and coherent than anything this fucking I don't even, he's probably not even a real native.
Wait, hang on. That's the wrong one. The real one.
That's the real one.
I know I should probably be the one to try to gatekeep this stuff, but it's like, you know what? I gotta see a 23 of me, buddy.
From The Dead Zone, copyrighted in 1979, paperback version. 240. I know who killed them. You would have gotten him eventually. You were just too close to it. You've even seen him in his raincoat, that shiny all-over raincoat. Yet 255. Yes, I saw the Newsweek article. That picture of me is from the press conference, only cropped. Don't look like anyone you'd meet in the dark alley, do I? Ha-ha! Golly gee, as your buddy Ann Strafford is so fond of saying. But I wish they hadn't run that story. 282. Didn't like his eyes. He thought they were assassin's eyes, psycho's eyes, cold and strange, as if this guy so much put one hand in his coat pocket. If he looked as if he might be going in that direction, he was going to put him out of the sidewalk. 283. To the 3Ds, death, destruction, and destiny. Where would we be without? 296. But it wouldn't hurt to just shake his hand, would it? Maybe not. One more politician for his collection. Some people collected stamps, some coins, but Johnny Smith collected handshakes.
So, he's just reading off random parts from books.
On.
No, don't you see it? He was in a Newsweek article. He mentioned the Newsweek article. He's going to be in a Newsweek
We also
article.
have interviews.
Mark was in a raincoat. It was actually Stephen King in a raincoat.
I appreciate that you guys
Hey,
are being
hang on.
more gun-ho about this, because I usually am the one who's yeah, this all makes it. But, like, even for me, I'm like, oh, man, this is too much.
Was it too much?
It's like if I went right down to fucking, like, Venezuela and just went into the factory with all the naked women packing the coke into the bags and just cut one open and Scarface planted my face into it.
Wait, one of the women or one of the bags?
One of the bags.
Okay.
It's just like, this is just, like, too much.
From the June 1983 Playboy interview. Author's note. Excerpts from King's opening reply on page 66.
Fuck, I kind of wish we did go by. Fuck, I can't believe I'm saying, like, man, the bioweapon story was probably more coherent and
Not really.
relatable.
I'll be
Easier to
honest, not
follow.
really. We'll save that for Thanksgiving.
And sure, it's an ego boost to think that I'll be the subject of one of your interviews with my name in black bold print and those 3 mugshots.
Oh, no, this is-
on the bottom of the page on
this
top
is-
of the quotes where I really
This is King.
fucked up.
This is King talking.
Well, it's his letter, yeah.
Look like Stephen King.
I forget.
Do
how
a
it
nerd
sounds.
voice.
I really fucked up. I put my foot
Oh.
in my mouth. It's an honor to be in the stellar company of George.
What? What do you want from me? I
Let's
don't
do a
know his
dweeb.
voice.
A dweeb, like a nerdy dweeb.
I was.
Okay, what voice do you think of when you think of the word pocket protector?
I think of this something like
It's more up here, really, isn't it?
Yeah, you say you want
There you go. There he is. There he is. There's
That's not fair because Stephen King lost most of his nose. And
makes
that.
it.
Didn't we already establish that he only got his leg hurt?
I don't believe this.
That's
It's all
real
liberal.
curious.
Yeah, it's all liberal lies. Stephen King really got into his car crash in 1973.
One to go.
Start chewing things.
I really fucked up and put my foot in my mouth. It's an honor to be in the stellar company of George Lincoln Rockwell and Albert Speer and James Earl Ray. What happened? Couldn't you get Charles Manson? It's easy to scoff at such things, but don't forget Haldane's Law. A maxim coined by the famous British scientist J.B.S. Haldane. The universe is not only queerer than we suppose, but it's queerer than we can suppose. You can't even manage it on a crematorium, you know, which is why after your body comes out of the blast furnace on the conveyor belt, there's a guy at the other end who has with a rake to pound up your bones before they pour you into the little glass urn that makes you into a mantelpiece. Kubrick just couldn't grasp the sheer inhuman evil of the Overlook Hotel.
Oh God! This is when he shit talked Kubrick's
Yep.
version of The Shining.
I'd like to remake The Shining someday. Maybe even direct it myself if anybody will give me enough rope to hang myself with. And that destructive side of me has a great outlet in my books. Jesus, I love to burn things up.
He did. He did, and I don't remember if he directed it, but
He did.
So he did direct the TV version.
He did.
Because I thought Maximum Overdrive was the only movie he actually.
One of my favorite moments in all my works comes in the middle of the stand where one of my villains, the trash can man, sets all the oil refinery holding tanks on fire and they go off like bombs.
Just go to the
This is why whenever people tell me like Stephen King is one of the greatest writers ever, he has motherfuckers called the trash can man in his books.
go to the Playboy.
Power of an American Hitler and the desperate effects of one man to stop him before it's too late. I'm a big rock and roll fan, and rock has been an important influence in my life and work. But even there, you can sometimes hear that beast rattling its chains and struggling to get loose. Nothing so dramatic as Altamont either. Just the kind of wild, frenzied mob emotions that can be generated when you get a couple of thousand people blasted out of their skulls on sounds and dope in an auditorium. Of course, good strong rock can evoke a powerhouse of emotional reaction, because by nature, it's go for broke stuff. It's anachronistic in the most attractive sense of the word. It's all about living fast, dying young, and making a handsome corpse. And horror is like that too. Both go for the jugular, but if they work, both evoke primal archetypes. I don't think there's anything sweeter on God's green earth than scaring the living shit out of people.
And how far will you go to get that desired effect?
As far as I have to, until the reader becomes convinced that he's in the hands of a genuine, gibbering, certifiable homicidal maniac. I'll do anything it takes. I'll go to any lengths. I'll geek like rat if I have to. I geek plenty of them in my time.
I'll do anything it takes.
He's killed many rats. You do know, Matt, that killing rats is a
Being
sign
based.
that you are
Being based.
a killer.
No, it just means you fucking have a rat problem.
It was a Nick answer.
Despite all the talk you'll hear from writers in this genre about horrors providing a socially and psychologically useful catharsis for people's fears and aggressions, the brutal fact of the matter is that we're still in the business of selling public executions. Evil is basically stupid and unimaginative. It doesn't need creative inspiration from me or anybody else. But despite knowing all of that rationally, I have to admit that it is unsettling to feel like I could be linked in any way, however tenuous, to someone else's murder. So if I sound defensive, it's because I am.
Now, why would he say that if he didn't murder somebody, Matt?
What is the fucking point?
The point is that he is admitting that he is a murderer in this interview with Playboy in 1983.
The only fucking point here is the guy who made this website and his head.
He says that he is unsettled, that he could be linked to someone
There's even
else.
more, Matt.
Why would he say that? Why would he say that, Matt, unless he actually killed somebody? Why would he say that?
Matt, there's so much more.
Man, I hate it when I have to play the straight guy because it's annoying. Because I don't have any good answer to that. Because I'm not like, well, I don't care about facts or reason or any of that fucking queer shit.
Channel Mr. Lightfoot.
Well, just recently, I purchased an old Playboy magazine.
Honestly, that's the thing I took away mostly from that big like interview thing is like Stephen King really loves the word queer.
He does. He said it twice.
It is a good word.
Quote, the one that carried Lennon's last interview was released at the time of death, and lo and behold, I found this article by Stephen King with these dramatic closing words.
This is the
You're starting to go more Hunter-esque.
this is the John Lennon part.
When he leaped atop his piano and began boogieing on it in his littered skin loafers, looked tame next to John Lennon, who proclaimed that the Beatles were more popular than Jesus. A statement that set off a rash of fundamentalist record burnings. The mythic horror movie, like the sick joke, has a dirty job to do. It deliberately appeals to all that is the worst in us. It is morbidity unchained, our most base instincts let free, our nastiest fantasies realized, and it is all happens fittingly enough.
Wait. This is sorry.
Those reasons.
And we
This
got
is
slap.
Stephen
Hold on,
King
we got to slap John Lennon out. Right now, that should bring Stephen King back into it. Jekyll and Hyde of our time.
Okay, so for those reasons, good liberals often shy away from horror films. For myself, I like to see the most aggressive of them. Dawn of the Dead, for instance, as lifting a trap door in the civilized forebrain and throwing a basket of raw meat to the hungry alligators swimming around in the subterranean.
When was this interview?
Fucking back when, I guess, John Lennon was still alive? I don't know.
Because it's just funny when it's like, I like those really hardcore horror movies like Dawn of the Dead. And it's like...
You haven't seen the ones with the actual cannibals in them, have you?
Yeah. You fucking show Stephen King in 1970 who gives a shit fucking Cannibal Holocaust, he'll fucking blow his brains out. He'll be like, why did you make me watch a murder? Why?
This isn't a horror movie. This is just a snuff film.
I gotta kill you and then myself. You've unleashed the beast.
Your mind picture. Tubby Stephen King saying this too.
Hell, not only that,
This is 1970 Stephen King when he's hopped up on coke and huge.
Yeah, imagine if not even a horror movie from today, but like you go back and show him some of the gore shit from the internet. Like you show him, the Chechen beheading video where you can hear the guys fucking air out. Stephen King would legitimately kill himself. Not joking about it. He would watch that fucking 48-second clip and he'd be like, "Yep, time to die."
All right, Matt. Remember I talked about the letters earlier?
Well, I went to get a soda.
Damn fool.
Motherfucker, I gotta be chained to this computer the entire podcast. Sometimes I get thirsty, motherfucker. I need a little...
Well, here's...
Some good old Mountain Dew.
Disgusting. Anyway, here's... I told you earlier, Matt, we don't just have a confession. We have Stephen King reaching out and admitting. Bundy?
Yeah, I'll be honest. This was what I was kind of waiting for. Was
The letter.
May July of 1984, I received this letter signed Dennis C. Lee. Amazingly, it seems to be the same handwriting as Stephen King's letter to me in September of 1992. The first letter is a threat letter and is an admission of his guilt. 2 weeks after receiving his first letter, my father was killed in a small plane crash on the anniversary of Nixon's resignation. The second letter, hand-delivered by a friend to me in Bangor, Maine, is a threat letter and a bribery attempt. As the letter was on the inside, a flap of a book titled "Let Me Take You Down" about Chapman. The bribery attempt is that a bookmarker was placed in the following page and passage, complete with a smudge mark.
This is 100% somebody who knows him and is just fucking tired of this shit. And is just like, you know what? I'm gonna fuck with him.
You read cursive, Lundy?
Kind of.
I'll help you out whenever you're confused here. Do you want to read?
So the one on the left says, "You haven't got the whole story yet. Just since you will
But
not,
since you
But since you will not cease your investigations, I thought I may as well clue you to phase 3. DCJ. DCL, sorry. Dennis
There's
Seeley.
rubber monkeys.
So obviously a fucking letter just cranking this.
Then
dude
in
up.
1997, we have this letter from Stephen King.
I didn't kill you. I didn't
Kill
kill
John.
you. I didn't kill John Lennon, sorry. And I think you know that as well as I do.
Well, as I do.
I think you know that as well as I do.
Oh, sorry, I didn't see the comma there or whatever.
The
Inside.
Inside the call.
Something of denial.
Welcome
something-
to remedial second grade on this very special.
No.
episode of the
No.
Good Podcast.
If somebody writes in cursive, I can read it, but this isn't necessarily good.
Inside
fucking cursive,
the
okay? Inside the blank of denial you put up.
wall of
The
denial.
wall of denial
Yeah.
you put up.
Fuck you, duck call.
What are you laughing about, Matt? What are you laughing about?
Oh, I'm just in
All
the
right,
back.
blind man, read it.
I can't read cursive, bitch.
I'm
I'm a bad student. I'm just in the back of the class. Like, listen to this retard trying to learn and read. What a fucking moron! I'm gonna work in my dad's auto shop. I got my life planned out.
Your
Hold on, let me look.
something in me is.
That's 15 years old. That version of me dies.
I think it's
in
your
like a
interest.
freak
Your
bar
interest
fire.
with me is a
Your interest in me is a way of allowing you to avoid dealing with
Own.
your
mental,
own
spiritual.
mental and spiritual problems. I'd let it no, just not I, just let it go.
Why
don't you and find more
Interesting.
hobbies?
Hey, Go, you would make a really good teacher.
I'm trying to figure this out via fucking like context clues.
Maybe. It's interesting hobby. I can't really.
And more interesting hobbies for you to for you.
Consider.
Oh God, cornhole! It looks like cornhole throws.
no.
Go.
Something for find more blank for you. Consider. Thanks.
With a question mark. That
Lundy,
doesn't sound
Lundy
right.
right now is like the inner city Hispanic youth being like, I can't learn how to read cursive, Mr. Goat. You know that. I'm a retard. And Goat's just like, you can do it. I believe in you.
All right, what's
Meantime-
after cornhole thrusts?
Here's
Here's a
I'm just imagining you.
fraternity.
Lundy, I'm just imagining, Lundy, you're dressed up as a cholo, and it is the funniest fucking thing to me right now. Like, you got the fucking do-rag on, you got like a gangster Tweety Bird shirt on.
I have the small button-down shirt that's just kind of like buttoned in the front and hanging off of my shoulders for some fucking reason.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Ghost's just there. He's fucking just dressed like Truman Capote. He's fresh out of teacher school.
Okay.
Just like-
Meanwhile, here is a fascinating book about the man who really did kill John.
Oh, so he sent
Got
him
it.
the Mark David Chapman book.
Yeah.
Well, son, as the principal of this
Dude.
elementary
if he
school, I never thought
actually-
you'd graduate, but hot damn, Mr. Ghost.
So you
did
have
it.
to
Here's your diploma.
understand this is cokehead Stephen King writing this.
No, this isn't Cokehead Stephen King, right? This is Stephen
Isn't he
King
still
in
cokehead in 92?
1992.
Because
Yeah,
what
it's- no.
No, he stopped being a cokehead early.
He
when was
full of
Cujo?
drunk
When was
in
Cujo written?
92.
Okay.
Like
Wait, when did he
82.
quit? Did he quit coke?
Maybe 80.
He quit, I want to say like 85, 86.
God, I gotta look this up.
He quit sometime after Maximum Overdrive.
Did Maximum Overdrive come out? Maximum 86.
Fuck.
It's his chicken scratch. Either way.
Yeah, so he was I think he stopped doing coke in like 88.
Like I can't even
89.
like show it to Matt because Matt can't see in the first place. So like
This is one of the greatest. This is one of the greatest writers of all time.
Yeah, and I'm reading essentially like condensed chicken scratch from a fucking doctor or some shit.
No, I understand, Lundy.
Go fuck yourself, Matt. I can read cursive.
Your people are typecast as like little educated movies. Lundy's gonna end this podcast by just standing on his desk saying, "No, Captain, like Captain."
God, I'm trying to find.
Goat's gonna have a heart attack because he's teaching Dominicans how to speak English to make extra money.
Gotta close a couple of windows. Sorry, my internet was lagging out pretty bad for a second there. So
Nah, it's fine. I could keep doing this bit.
there was eventually a resolution between the two.
Lundy's just standing over there. It's like, you know what? You keep talking, fucking cracker. I'm gonna fucking slit your fucking Achilles heel.
Now,
During
there did
recess.
come understanding between Mr. Lightfoot and Mr. King over this. Yes.
Yeah.
And at some point between 1992 and 2022, Stephen King has put out a restraining order against Lightfoot. So he.
You want to know something really interesting about Stephen King? And this is something you could build a conspiracy theory around. And I'm kind of shocked he hasn't brought it up, but maybe he brings it up later. Do you know what happened to the guy who was drunk driving who caused that wreck Stephen King was in? So Stephen King literally fucking destroyed his life.
Like actually?
Yes. It is legitimately fucked up what Stephen King did. And to be fair, this guy did fucking drunk drive. He's a fucking piece of shit. But Stephen King literally fucking got, like, this dude fucking, like, he got him fired from his job. He fucking wrote a character in one of his books based on him as, like, one of the evil people. So, and also, like, he died, and Stephen King was, like, he wrote, like, a big fucking op-ed where he was like, I'm glad this fucking piece of shit's dead.
He should have died that night that he crashed.
Basically, he's like, he should have died the night he did that crash, and I'm glad I ruined his fucking life. Fuck him, may he burn in hell.
Okay, so that's
December 6th of 2019, KSCO interview. SOS! Save our Steve Lightfoot. FBI stalking me. To prep you for what is below, let me tell you now that I'm advertising with signs in downtown Monterey. Ignoring me is screwing all of you. Silent U.S. brainwashed psychotic silent Paul betraying us all. Protecting S. King with your kids? You're all cowards or you'd care. Break this news or you lose. The truth is here. Where are you?
You know what I think? You know what I think particularly makes me sad about this guy? And why I can't, like, kind of get on board, like, fake fucking agreeing with him?
What?
Is the bitterness shows that on some level he knows he has wasted the last 40 years of his life, and he will probably waste the remaining years of his life doing this.
I kind of got a little bit of that vibe when he said that most young people have checked out his website and now know the truth.
I mean, he's delusional. He probably fucking... He probably is like, oh, like, click on a website so you need... Again, he's just delusional. He's dumb, delusional. Honestly, if the government does black bag people, he should be black bagged and thrown in a little cell somewhere.
For his own protection.
by the way.
And you know what? Here's something. That actually probably make him happy.
Deserve truth. Demonstrate. Ignore this. Endure mass shootings. Silent America satanic. Satanic U.S. protecting Stephen King. I need you people to protest. Yellow U.S. martyring messenger. Religion failing silent U.S. Your media destroyed dumbasses.
Again,
One nation under evil. Confess.
If the evil, if like the whole thing is like just the Satanists did this. The Satanists are the ones that killed John Lennon. Again, John Lennon, fucking
They keep going.
Stephen King's rules, you raped fools. Ugly humanity under a lie. Silent equals unsexy. Silent does equal stupid. U.S. under Stephen King. Because you are sick under evil. Satanic, public, apathetic.
So now it's time to get into. Actually, I'll go ahead and play this.
I love the idea of him putting up the sign, silence equals unsexy. And some guy is like, he's been shy the entire time throughout his first date. He's driving his date home. She looks just out of it, just done, just like annoyed. And he just looks to her and then looks over to the sign. And it says silence equals unsexy. And he just goes, you're right. I need to nut the
Go ahead and
fuck
share.
off." And he starts going, let me go ahead and tell you about my
Mm.
day.
Nah, I'm imagining Lundy instead. He's just like, so this is the reason why I think the Jews didn't.
Yeah.
And she's just like, you can let me out right here.
Look at this son of a bitch holding up the fat Stephen King picture.
Yeah, I see him holding up the coked out picture.
Right,
of
ready?
Stephen King, yes.
3, 2,
Yeah.
1.
I have evidence, namely coded information in back issues of Time and Newsweek issues surrounding the night of John Lennon's murder, that prove Richard Nixon and Ronald Reagan let none other than the famous author Stephen King. When I got to this headline, "Who's in, who's out," above newly elected Reagan, I thought, what's going on in the headlines here? What are these, cryptography and the bold print all about John Lennon's murder in Time magazine? Because Reagan was just elected and John Lennon was just shot. The interpretation in my mind went, Reagan's in, Lennon's out. And then I took a closer look at the photo, and there's Richard Nixon's book, The Real War, sitting next to Reagan. I remembered Richard Nixon tried to deport John Lennon, so when I saw the smaller headline, fitting together the pieces of a complicated jigsaw puzzle, I decided to look up The Real War. And I found passages like this. Unfortunately, America is still suffering from the legacy of the 1960s. The Nixon Doctrine. It makes no sense to use a sledgehammer to kill a fly. That kind of enemy calls for a less powerful but more effective weapon, a fly swatter. But too many of America's intellectual and cultural elite have shown themselves to be brilliant, creative, trendy, gullible, smug, and blind in one eye. They see bad only on the right and not on the left. War is bad and peace is good, and posturing with words is everything. Those who manipulate the symbols, who decide whether nations or leaders will be depicted as good or bad. I remembered how Richard Nixon was derided as Tricky Dicky in Lennon's songs, and how Nixon was naked dancing with Sherman Mao on one of Lennon's albums, and other songs about Richard Nixon. If America loses World War III, it will be because of the attention, the celebrity, and the legitimacy given to the trendies. Those over-glamorized dilettantes who posture the latest idea, mount the fashionable protests, and are slobbered over by the news media, whose creation cause they embrace with their anti-war, anti-nuclear, anti-military, anti-business. It is almost invariably one that works against the interest of the U.S. in the context of World War III. These trendies are ready with an opinion at the drop of a microphone, and their opinions are treated as news not because they are authorities, but because they are celebrities. In a less hazardous age, we could afford to indulge the prancing of the trendies on the stage of public debate. But now we must learn to distinguish between the meaningful and the meaningless. The war in Vietnam was lost in the drawing rooms of the beautiful people of New York. Perhaps a nation...
All right, that's probably enough.
We'll see some
Yeah.
shit that he
So,
says.
Matt, you're going to enjoy this part more
Yeah.
than anyone, I think. Because there's another place he's shown up. He's pretty famous in the area, the Bay Area. There is one other place he's shown up a couple times, Matt.
Bay Area.
California.
California.
There's somewhere else that he's shown up, Matt. Remember a little show called Coast to Coast AM?
Oh.
Unfortunately, this is more recent, so Art was not able to. Yeah, it's a George one. George Norrie. But
I mean, look, I'm willing to
Right.
settle for George.
I'm going to play this through my microphone because I can't get this to run normally.
That fuckhead who took over after George.
All right, here we go.
I remember.
Here we go. So this is Lightfoot on Coast to Coast AM.
Next up, we've got Mitchell in Santa Clara, California. Hey, Mitch, welcome.
Thank you, George. I appreciate your politeness and your tolerance.
But the tolerance is there. That's for sure.
For
God, he sounds like a sex creep on the phone.
years, Truman had the onus on him as the world's worst villain with Hiroshima and Nagasaki, but now I think it's the president of China. But you know, there are three objectives.
He sounds like he's right next to the earpiece, just mumbling into it and eating it.
Rubbing his dick through his sweatpants. So tell me, George, what are you wearing?
One of them, in my opinion, was the Hong Kong protest.
Yep.
The other was the failing impeachment hearings against Trump. And the third one was the biggest story they're afraid of, about who killed John Lennon. The American people.
Steve Lightfoot. That's Steve Lag. I got to put him back on for a second, Danny. Let me ask him. Steve, is this you?
This is me.
That's good. Now, let me. You don't have to do this anymore. You don't have to sneak in. We should have you on to talk about your theories because Michael Zwirling, who owns KSCO, interviewed you for a whole show, didn't he? Once. Twice. But don't you have a van and all that?
Yes.
But you're dead serious about this. You really think that Stephen King killed John Lennon? Tell me why.
His face matches the face of the guy who shot John Lennon when he's posing as Mark David Chapman getting the autograph. Time and Newsweek magazines are printed by the CIA. They document secrets, all bold print coded messages, including Mark David Chapman's name and letter linking himself to Reagan 3 weeks before the murder. Richard Nixon's book, The Real War, that talks about why we have to kill people like John Lennon, photographed the day of the murder in Time and Newsweek next to Reagan. There's suspicious headlines like, who's in, who's out. And Stephen King writes about it. He's never denied it. This story was close to breaking right before this Wuhan thing came out.
Interesting take. I'm going to put you on hold. I want you.
Right. So just to clarify,
Really?
Interesting take, the guy says. By the way, we know that he knows that he has denied it. He literally wrote a letter that he acknowledges came from Stephen King saying, you know as well as I do.
just want to say that one more time for everyone in the audience. Said that the story was almost revealed until coronavirus happened.
Yep.
We got 30.
What
We got 30 seconds left.
Your website and numbers. Fair enough?
LennonMurderTruth.com.
All right, let's do that. Tom, get his phone number, and maybe we'll work something out here. But, Mitch, you don't have to sneak in anymore. You don't have to do that. You know, we'll give you your due, and you'll talk about your theories. And I don't think it's true, but you have reasons to believe what you do. I've seen your material. I've seen your van. And you are dead serious about what you're doing. But Tommy will take.
It was on May 20th, 2020.
Really? Wow. I knew that it had to be later on. I mean, obviously, it couldn't have been when he first made his fucking videos, because the reason he was making the videos was because he didn't have a website yet.
It was after he had been writing on this blog a few times that George Norrie was blocking him because he was a part of the conspiracy.
Ah. Well, now how does he explain it now that he's been allowed on
Let me find
to
it here.
say what he wants to say?
George Norrie is a fuck. That's probably what he said.
Let's see. So this is from 2021. This is all just a giant wall of text, by the way. He doesn't like section anything off with this for the most part.
Of course he doesn't. Take my lighter out of my mouth.
Hold the presses. Just hours after the above entry, I made it through the national radio airways to make a succinct point. It was at 1:53 a.m. PST and 6/10/2021 on George Norrie's Coast to Coast show, the one whose offer for an interview I turned down recently. His guest Paul was talking about the monster-sized asteroid Apophis, and how it just might strike Earth in about 9 years, and how its smaller attachments would probably surely hit us. I used the name Mark, my middle name, from Sacramento to elude their censorship, and actually was called to speak. That first attempt was thwarted, as I wasn't audible, but my call back was put at the top of the queue, and I was on minutes later. Here's what it sounded like. Looks like Mark from Sacramento made it back. Hello, Mark. Thank you, George. Paul, I can do this in under 60 seconds. You mentioned signs, SIGNS. The Gulf of Mexico and the state of Florida are the result of an asteroid crater that took out the dinosaurs. The Great Central Valley of California is an asteroid divot. They're that big, folks. A glancing blow. The sign we all have to start making and displaying in order to avoid getting killed by Apophis is LennonMurderTruth.com. At that point, I was cut off, but everything went through anyway. What a home run. However weird it must have sounded like, I think most everyone knew exactly what I was saying. And if we don't change our ways and start exposing Lennon's murder and start caring soon, we'll be asteroid toast. Soon.
Wait, I had to go piss really badly. What? Don't reread it. Just what's going on?
So he called into a radio station.
Called into Coast to Coast.
I'm gonna get censored if I use my real name. I'm gonna use my middle name, Mark, and I'm gonna say I'm from Sacramento. That way they'll have no fucking idea. And then he got he got disconnected, and then but he called back, and he was immediately on afterwards, and he had under 60 seconds to do his spiel. He knows that the previous guest and George were talking about an asteroid that might hit us in 9 years, and so he said,
Thank you, George. Paul, I can do this in under 60 seconds. You mentioned signs, SIGNS. The Gulf of Mexico and the state of Florida are the result of an asteroid crater that took out the dinosaurs. The Great Central Valley of California is an asteroid divot. They're big, folks. Glancing blow. The sign we all have to start making and displaying in order to avoid getting killed by Apophis is LennonMurderTruth.com.
oh, what a fucking pivot. He was able to pivot an entire conversation about asteroids into LennonMurderTruth.com.
Understand, people, that it was as if I were chosen to see perhaps this very asteroid in 1966, or one even bigger. It wasn't until after I had just settled into my sleeping bag that night and before I had a chance to think of anything else, like a special front row seat on a silver platter for a street across the sky. Blip.
This is literally just schizophrenia.
Making my first thought after we all almost just died.
It's like he gets a new piece of information and he's like, oh, that immediately is incorporated into my dumb conspiracy theory. Oh, an asteroid's coming? Well, the reason the asteroid's going to hit us is because the government keeps lying to us about who killed John Lennon. If we really knew and had an open and honest government, we'd be able to deal with the asteroid. Or the story was about the break, but then the government released the Wuhan virus. Also, I think the other reason I can't get behind this, more so than the undiagnosed schizophrenia of it, because, you know, we've had that on the show before. We're no stranger to it. I just can't get over the lack of motive.
I mean, lack of motive.
Oh my God, Matt, let me continue reading this real quick because I just skipped ahead. So he's talking about how he saw an asteroid go by the sky in 1966, and how he is just sitting there like, we all almost died. And he's like, this is traumatic. So he says, you know the story of Sodom and Gomorrah, right? Lot was told that if there was one good man in their midst, that those cities would be spared. Instructed there might not be left he left with his wife. She was turned into a pillar of salt just for looking back to watch their destruction after being instructed not to. The moral of the story is, as far as I'm concerned, is this. I may just have been the one good man that spared us in 1966.
Wow.
See?
I wouldn't count on that in the future, though. I don't even believe half of the Bible in the first place. If you cannot respond morally to my findings, maybe this is God's test. Maybe mankind is not worthy of this beautiful planet after all. Remember also that John Lennon called his upcoming murder the event. I'd pay attention to all this, people. I can almost read the headlines. Man was given his chance, but proved too flawed and weak and phony to even stand up to a sick horror writer for killing the best man on earth at the time, John Lennon. And after evidence was given to them on a silver platter for 4 decades, not planet-worthy. Don't let that be your legacy, people. It can happen, and I should know. Man can do nothing to stop what I saw as a child. If our media is telling you different, we know about the media and our government, right?
So, does he not know how a fucking headline works?
No. He doesn't know how headlines work. He doesn't know how asteroids work.
That's so retarded and so delusional. He truly is God's dumbest soldier.
I have another one here from July this year. This one he met famous. He's talking about meeting a couple of them back in the 80s.
Well, folks, take a look at what your apathy has done to my once good looks. My recent driver's license photo shows the changes. In May 22nd of 1987, exactly a month before martial artists on Haight Ashbury dislocated my arm and broke my nose on a sidewalk. In 5 months before Dianne Feinstein, Yoko Ono, and the SFPD kidnapped me and beat me unconscious in a police van while handcuffed. Before all that, I was a pretty good-looking guy, even I must admit. People who doubt my claims that Clint Eastwood...
I want everybody to know I'm so not gay that I don't find myself attractive, but damn, I used to be good-looking.
People who doubt my claims that Clint Eastwood was so threatened by my dating one of his girlfriends in 1980 that he had an associate buy me a free drink that was dosed with Rohypnol, a knockout drug, that found me passing out in her arms a half hour later, might now believe that I was such a threat for him to do that. Clint won't deny it either. In fact, he, or an impersonator may have just admitted it last month, on KSCO radio, when the caller said, I have to deal with punks like you. When I was making movies and have sex with women in Salinas, you tried to get in my way. Because I know that you know, and you know what I know. You try to get in my way again, punk, and I'll blast you into the ground. You trip. And then he hung up.
You know what I would do if I was like one of the 1%?
Yeah.
I would just kidnap people like this.
Kidnap people with undiagnosed schizophrenia?
Yeah, well, specifically the people who make big conspiracy theories about it, and then just actually do some of the stuff they're describing, like just black bag them, beat them up for a little bit, like tell them like you'll never know the truth, and then just randomly dump them somewhere with $20. leave like a
commit crimes if I was rich.
leave like a Chinese phone book with like half of the names.
Not just crimes.
Out.
I want to commit crimes to the most mentally unwell of our society. I always wonder when it comes to these like extremely crazy people, like what their day to day is.
Look, don't blame me. Blame Reagan. This is something you can actually blame Reagan for, unlike the killing of John Lennon. Like, we used to deal with people like this. We locked them up. It wasn't a perfect solution, but it kept them off the street. It mitigated their insanity.
12 days later, I was issued not 1 but 2 citations for singing in 3 days. 1 a misdemeanor criminal charge. All a bogus plot between the Whiskey Club Bar, the Britannia Arms Bar, possibly Clint, MPD Chief Dave Hober, and corrupt Jimmy and Leon Pineda.
Like, just imagine this guy in, like, a puzzle basement.
Clint has pull here. You must visit my site and go to the new developments page and scroll down a page or 2 until you see the word wanted. More details there, including how Clint had my van towed up off of Pebble Beach for rejecting his attempts to befriend me 20 years ago. Hence his movie line, get off my lawn, punk. I have to leave it out of here, as this was a flyer. Visit the site.
Mr. Lightfoot, for 40 years you've dedicated your life to expose the truth. But now I'm going to expose you. In front of you.
Give my penis.
A knife. Yeah, there's no penis. You gotta suck it. But my penis is also connected to a web camera, so when you suck it...
Stephen King is looking in another room, pointing and laughing at you.
Yeah. Stephen King, while you were knocked out, we took pictures of your dick and showed them to Stephen King. He laughed. Why am I doing this? I got cancer.
Continue.
Jigsaw voice might legitimately be my favorite thing to do. In front of you is my dick. You gotta suck it and then you gotta baby burn it back into my ass. And then a key will pop out. You gotta lubricate. You gotta lubricate my own ass with my own cum to get the key out.
Jesus Christ.
It's the only way. I'll keep doing this until Lundy says something. But then Lundy's probably counting on that.
Fucking Jesus Christ, man.
You know what? Fuck Chris Rock. I should have been the next Saw, if we're being honest. People would have gone to see that movie. They would have been like, hey, did you hear about the new Saw movie where he kidnaps people and like he has them suck his dick and then lube his asshole with his own cum by baby birding it into his
Oh,
ass?
Matt. I'm gonna need you to hold on to that thought for a second. I mean that by hold on to that thought.
I'll try.
Okay. Andy, we got one more update. This is from Ready? This is the most recent update.
Yeah.
This is about
Okay.
an upcoming event later this year.
All right.
Now this is gonna be a long one, but get ready. 1 second.
Holy
Go.
shit. New flyer to you all, December 8th, 2022 rally. This December 8th, 2022, a Thursday, the anniversary of John Lennon's assassination. I will give you all a chance to wipe your helpless butts. Get off your knees, pull your heads out your asses for a change, and help me expose the evidence against somebody's government for letting Stephen King murder John Lennon and poison us all. The Chapman lie you all hide behind is an embarrassment to all Americans for being stupid and phony enough to allow Chapman to skip his trial after Nixon's attempts to deport John. You all did. My Lennon murdered Truth.com van's latest ad on sign reads, Moscow's crime, no less. The accompanying sign reads, stop being phony and help me. Pretty much sums things up, people. Yes, that explains everything. I noticed the body language of you all as you walk by my park van as I sing from it. Like a child about to be spanked, you all seem to know that I'm exactly correct about my claims. Only you're all too afraid to stand up for yourselves, and especially afraid to stand up to the Kremlin, who apparently committed this atrocity on the world. Oh my God, if we protest and support him, WW3 will break out. It's quite the opposite, in fact. People, if you don't jail Stephen King, World War III will continue and grow. Why do you think Putin is starting the war if not to stall my expose? Life will become a nuclear nightmare. It's already an economic nightmare for you all. Inflation and whatever looms down the road is not the America that I remember.
And Lundy, you say it should be a crime for me to kidnap this motherfucker and lock him up in a basement with a puzzle missing a piece and being like, you can only get out with just a puzzle, buddy.
Putin is starting World War III to prevent me from exposing Stephen King. We are under a takeover by our enemies, and our own deep state, and the kids seems to sense it. And they won't be shooting themselves in school and committing suicide with fentanyl, etc. The real story is not me at all, but all of you people who are, admit it or not, treasonous, turncoat, boot-licking bastards all of a sudden, now the truth has come to town. Sorry, Junior. Mommy and Daddy are helpless to fight the government. You're all on your own. Stephen King gets to keep on molesting you after killing our hero, John Lennon. That's why parents are not heroes. I am a hero, the very hero you all desperately need right now. You all seem to overlook that fact. You'd all rather call me a nut behind my back. I know. You can't stand that I've exposed your evil underbellies for the world to see. Oh, look at America. Stephen King killed John Lennon to poison him from Moscow, and they can't stand up to them for themselves and fight back. Wimps, home with the brave, my ass.
You know, I'm surprised he hasn't right?
Brought up what?
9/11. How many times do you think he's done this over the years.
Every single event that happens, every major event that people talk about,
hey Matt,
he thinks it's a distraction from him.
Real quick, Lundy, don't
Yeah.
forget to do everything after. That's what I think is all your heads. Real quick, for Matt's sake, read this.
A few weeks later, 9/11 stole whatever thunder my sight might have otherwise had then. Now, just as I started to go gonzo with signs on my van again and pass out flyers for the first time in years, China steals my thunder again, suspiciously. You people have to break my story or suffer under China and Russia's efforts to stop me. We know they will kill mankind if necessary.
Again, like, this is the whole fucking thing I don't get. It's like, why was fucking Lennon so goddamn important, you fucking nut job?
It's not that Lennon...
So he's important. He's important.
Apparently it is.
No. Here's the theory, Matt. The theory is the government of America wanted to let Stephen King get away with murdering Lennon to demonstrate how they can kill anyone they want with whoever they want and nobody will stop them.
Yeah, guess what, you fucking dipshit? They fucking did that with Kennedy.
What?
That's the
Well, let me see if he brings up Kennedy, Matt.
Yeah. You're no, because Kennedy was before all of this, so maybe he might have something about JFK Jr.
He did mention Kennedy in one of these things earlier. I remember he was saying that the same hospital that handled Lennon was the one that fucked up Kennedy's
Bethesda
brain.
Hospital, yeah.
Yeah. He mentioned that they were the same people who fumbled around with Kennedy's brains.
Which, here's something, right? Bethesda Hospitals in Washington, D.C., John Lennon was shot in fucking New York.
Yeah.
So I highly doubt they, took an 8-hour fucking trip to get him to a fucking hospital.
No. Matt, despite the fact that this guy supposedly travels all across the United States, he has no concept, no understanding of like time and place. Like because one of the foundational questions that one would have to ask if they're going to suppose that anyone did anything is to say, also, were they even there when it happened?
Since you brought this up, I'm not sure about this, but I'm pretty sure Rohypnol wasn't around in
Control F for Kennedy, by the way, and I got this. Please, Lundy.
That I saw this near destruction of our planet between the Kennedy murders. Then Stephen Lightfoot, the man who would later stumble on the journalistic find of the millennium almost 16 years later, is significant, I think, especially looking over my shoulder and how I seem to have become some avenging angel who punishes any and all trespassers who harm me. It eventually became so obvious that in my closing statement after being convicted on a traffic ticket in Santa Barbara court a few years ago, I said, I worry for this reason after so brazenly railroading me here. I predict bad things will happen for the way I was treated here.
Again, like, it's the fucking lack of a motive and the bitterness that really turns me off of this guy.
It's the fact that like he really does believe that he actually might be really close to actually thinking he's Jesus.
Yeah, like he is basically David Koresh without the compound fire and the statutory rape.
He believes that anybody who does anything wrong to him
to be fair,
will have shit happen to them.
This guy, he doesn't seem like a kind of guy, like a no means no kind of guy, if you catch my drift.
You sure?
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyways, where were you before those 10? That's what I think.
Do I sing better than the Beatles and Sinatra and Nat King Cole or any of the other artists I sing along to? No. I do sing as close as
Indeed, no. That's what I think is going on in all of your heads. That's where you were at.
That's what I think is going on in all of your heads, people admit it or not. You will almost resent that I sing as well as I do to prove I must be right. My evidence is too compelling to dismiss. In case you aren't aware, I have discovered the killer's face, alleged name, and letter linking himself to Reagan and the government crypto codes and the headlines, all about Lennon's then upcoming murder, all before it took place, in back issues of Time, Newsweek, and U.S. news magazines. Nixon's book, The Real War, that discusses why Lennon Tice must be killed, is seen next to Reagan the day of the murder, under the headlines, who's in, who's out, and fitting together the pieces of a complicated jigsaw puzzle, for example.
It is really funny how like he holds like because we've seen that shit.
That's his whole
times.
case. That's his
Yeah.
whole case right there. It's headlines, Nixon's book.
His whole conspiracy theory, besides being built on schizophrenia, is literally just I don't know how newspapers work.
Not only don't I know how newspapers work, but
Matt,
I'm face blind.
Well,
Don't post anything.
No, let Lundy do it, and then I'm gonna. I didn't realize it was gonna go into. Boy, let Lundy read, and then I'll share what I've got here.
Did I do?
It went in a direction I didn't think he was gonna go to, but finally made it there. Go ahead, Lundy.
Did he finally? Are we gonna get to the juice?
Yeah. Read the rest of the thing. The rest of the thing about him singing, and then we'll get there.
A mere half-hour presentation of it all on television will convince the world. A photo of Stephen King, not Decoy Chapman, getting Lennon's last autograph is indisputable. Our media won't do it. They are the enemy of the people, siding with and protecting Moscow, not you.
So, if they're siding with Moscow, why are they funding the war?
It's all a trick.
The now I do sing better thing again. Sorry.
Now, do I sing better than the Beatles and Sinatra and Nat King Cole or any of the artists I sing along to? No. But I do sing as close to, as good as any of them, as anyone else I've heard.
All right. So I didn't. I'll be honest. I read through this website a couple times. I did not, this giant portion. I did not read that, but I didn't think we were going to get here. But all roads lead back to.
I mean, this does seem like the kind of guy who would unironically use the term Christ killer.
Funny, not in so many words, but
just post it so I can read it. And no, I'm not an anti-Semite. It will all come out after, however, that Lennon's murder cover-ups was an almost exclusively Jewish media phenomenon. Kozel, Waters, King, Goldman, the major magazines and television stations, etc., etc. I used to even wonder, well, then, were the Jews afraid of that Lennon was the second coming? Is that why they had him killed? It's possible, I suppose. Meanwhile, Lennon's replacement, Stephen King, can only be a commie plot to destroy America from the insides out. Don't you all really agree? You're not all stupid. What else could it possibly be?
It's okay. This is it. He's just a crazy person who thinks John Lennon was the second coming of Christ.
It just might be exactly the case, and none of you can afford to be reluctant pussies about it now.
When Lennon did, and I know there's some controversy around, Christ and his miracles and shit, but let's be honest, comparing Jesus Christ to what John Lennon did is like comparing fucking, an Olympic level athlete to a fucking child born with progeria.
You just can't believe that I could actually be a real-life hero uncovering an unspeakable evil against all of you, saving the day, now can you? I'd ease you into the subject of your fear-based denial process.
Also, too, if Lennon was the second coming of Christ, he fucking sucks. He got
by Stephen King.
I would sugarcoat things, but that's what got you all into this evil circumstance to begin with. I allege that whether judge has
sorry, I forgot to mention that. So he'd been in spats with his local PD for a couple years, where they kept getting on to him about public nuisance reports and shit like that.
It's like, sir, you can't post a sign that says the Christ killers killed Lennon in front of the local center.
I have alleged that whether the judge has or has not read my past website postings, still up for decades now, about this very Jewish communist conspiracy that killed John Lennon, that there is a chance he has or someone in the Department of Justice has read it, and that represents a reason to replace any Jewish judge to hear my case. Woo! No judges of Jewish descent can hear my case.
Mason. See, now I'm kind of coming around.
There is the appearance of a possible conflict. I recall writing then that John Lennon intimidated these communist Jews who may have even feared that John was the second coming, and that was enough reason to kill him. I allege that those media Jews feared the United States of America for our harboring so many Nazis after the war, and for possibly waiting, deliberating, before getting into the war in the first place, that they may have suspected that this country was their enemy, and that they have considered after to do us in any way they can. I pointed out the Rosenbergs as an example.
So, he probably doesn't call them Christ killers. He probably calls them Lennon killers.
Do you like to see what happens when he interacts with children?
Please.
Oh, you want to hear it, Matt?
Event yesterday, even just yesterday, December 14th of 2019, while minding my own business watching TV in my van with the rear doors open in a secluded parking lot near a baseball field, several teens walked by and, no doubt having to do with them having heard my interview, said out loud, "You're not even a part of society, faggot!" I loudly shot back immediately. And I wouldn't want to be too. Faggot!
Or they just saw you in a van watching TV.
With Stephen King
like,
killed Lennon all over the side of it.
And they're like, oh, look at this twisted old fruit. Let's call him a slur.
What am I supposed to do? You're right, don't be like me, pity me. No, they are jealous. I am pointing out the phoniness of their parents in front of talk radio land, and they are likely parroting their parents.
Yeah, they're jealous of you living in a park.
They're jealous of the truth. That I have the balls to say it, because I am a hero.
Do we want to look up any final words or keywords to try to find something?
I think we got into most of the good keywords. Jews. Here's the thing, right? Like, if we look up any event, it's going to tie him back to his dumb fucking conspiracy theory, like 9/11 or COVID. I think we've plumbed this. I think we've hit
as far as it's gonna go.
Yeah.
Stephen Lightfoot.
He should be called Stephen Lightbrain.
Andy, what's your takeaway with him?
Based.
Based.
You consider him based?
Yeah.
What was your favorite part of what he said?
Definitely that he is the reason we all didn't die of an asteroid back in 1966.
See, I would have thought him yelling about coronavirus would have been your favorite part.
It was too subtle.
Personally, my favorite part was when those kids called him
called a faggot.
And then he called them a faggot.
Like he put dramatic pause in parentheses.
Yes, he dramatically paused before he called them a faggot.
I think this is the kind of guy who's gonna look himself up on. He's got like Google alert set up if his name's posted anywhere.
Probably.
You think that he's gonna? What do you think his reaction would be to seeing this?
Oh, he'll love it.
That we didn't bother.
He's gonna be a big fan.
Actually addressing we didn't bother addressing any of his actual points because we know that he's right.
What's fucking there to address?
Well,
there's more to address with a fucking salad than this.
Steven, it's okay to go to sleep, buddy.
Come on the podcast, you faggot.
If you see...
Excuse me, sir. Do you have Prince Albert in a can? You do? Well, you better let the poor guy out.